Hi guys, welcome to the latest podcast of Yarn and Black. Today I have a really special friend of mine popping in to visit us, Faith March. I'll get her to introduce herself very shortly, but first I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I'm currently on. I'm here in Naarm on the beautiful land of the Wurundjeri people, and I want to pay respect to elders past, present and emerging. And I want to acknowledge all the other Aboriginal people that always tune in to watch this podcast, but also to Faith and any other Aboriginal people here today. So, Faith, how are you?
I am good.
And thank you for joining me.
I am on beautiful, I always get this wrong. Turrbal and Yagara land in sunny Brisbane. Well, not so sunny, it's actually overcast today. But yeah.
No, thank you. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where you're from?
Okay, so my name is Faith March. I am a descendant of the stolen generation. I am a Kamilaroi and Torres Strait Islander woman. I was adopted as of, I think I was like 3 weeks old, not that I remember, but I did have a reunion through Link Up New South Wales when I was in my 30s. And met my family, who I'd actually been going to school with, all my first cousins, which I didn't know. So that was interesting. It's like with friends with all these people, it's like, oh, we are actually related.
Yeah.
That was very interesting. And I ran an Aboriginal RTO for 25 years, and we did Aboriginal health worker training, aged care, the management business stuff. I am now here at Diabetes Australia as the National Coordinator for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander engagement. I myself am living with type 1 diabetes. I have an insulin pump. That's a new thing that's happened over the last 6 years.
So when were you diagnosed with diabetes? How long ago were you diagnosed with diabetes?
I was diagnosed at around about age 45 after bariatric surgery and losing 80 kilos. So yeah, it's been a really, really big life change. So coming to Diabetes Australia is something that I can give my lived experience to, especially as an older Aboriginal person living with diabetes. So who's on insulin for the rest of my life. So yeah.
What does the role actually encompass? What do you do?
We go out to communities and teach people how diabetes works in your body. I mean, I know when I was diagnosed, I had a vague idea, being in a predominantly Aboriginal community, there was a high diagnosis of diabetes. But you don't know the little ins and outs. And so we go around and we've actually got a banner, which it's called Diabetes Yarning. And it's magnetic, and we show people what happens when you eat food and the carbohydrates and the glucose going into your blood and all of that. And we've got a little fetus that we show for the ladies that get gestational diabetes as well. So we go through type 1, type 2 and gestational diabetes, and go into Aboriginal communities and teach people in the community so they can go and teach the rest of the community. So we do like facilitator training. Awesome. Yeah, so letting that knowledge pass on through community, because we want healthy communities.
Yeah, awesome. And how long have you been doing that job for?
5 months.
5 months. And you keep coming back, so there's a good sign.
Yes, yeah, no, I think I've found, I mean, I love the health area anyway. That's been my whole area, but coming to Diabetes Australia, it's been, very good. I've enjoyed it.
So a couple of questions. Let's go back in time a little tiny bit, but where did you grow up?
Where did I grow? I grew up in Swansea in New South Wales. And then as a teenager, I moved to Southwest Rocks, which is up near Kempsey on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. I did years 10, 11 and 12 at Melville High School. Left in year 12 in 1990. Oh God, that makes me sound old.
Anyone doing maths really quickly?
Yeah, please stop. And then I went to do my teaching degree actually after I finished year 12. Then
Where'd you do that at?
Newcastle University. I didn't finish because I fell pregnant with my beautiful son, my beautiful drag queen son. That's a whole other conversation. So then I was, mum for a few years, and then I started as an aged care worker when Booroogen first started. So that was my beginning of going into. So I went into the practical side and then come out the education side. So yeah.
And you've studied a number of courses along the way yourself, haven't you?
Yeah. I've done a few things, mostly governance and management type stuff. That's sort of been because I was on, on boards and stuff. So we used to do the governance training, the old governance training. There's a new training package out now. So we used to do that as well. So I've done that training as well as community services and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
So when you were going to school, this is like to high school, how much Aboriginal studies did you learn at school?
When I was in Newcastle, none. When I moved to Kempsey, it was, and also you've got to remember, this was the late 80s too. So there wasn't a lot of Aboriginal studies around it. We were just sort of starting. But I do remember, I think it was year 10 or year 11, I did Aboriginal studies, and I was asked to write an essay about racism. So, I told them about racism, and they tried to fail me. But my mum wasn't having that.
Truth hurts.
So, and that's what, truth hurts. I told them my experiences and what happened, it's probably a lot more Aboriginal studies in schooling now, but it was sort of creeping in. This is, as I said, it was the late 1980s. So
you're about the same age as me then.
Yes, I guess. I just turned 50. What am I? 51.
I'm a little bit older.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. 51.
People, please don't do the maths.
Yeah.
And I went to school at Moorlambar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so not far from.
No, not far at all. I used to live in the little town called Southwest Rocks, little tiny town. Yes. Yeah. So big change coming up to the big city of Brisbane.
What was that change like?
It was very different. I'm quite like, my son was already up here. He'd been living up here for 10 years. So basically, and he was happy he got to move back in with mum. Didn't have to.
Did mum move in with him or he moved back in with mum?
No, he was living in the city. I moved out to the suburbs. So he's like, oh, I'm coming out to the suburbs. So, and my brother's up here as well and my nieces. So it was a move, it was a lot about my mental health. I needed to sort of get out of where I was and, get into a better headspace. Being near my son always makes me happy. Because he's my only baby. So, you know, moving up here and being near that, and my older brother as well, yeah, just that family, being around family, it just makes me happy and makes me feel in a better headspace. So, yeah.
So you mentioned not growing up with your family initially.
Yeah.
How old were you when you got reunited with your family?
I was in my 30s. My son was a teenager.
Yep.
I have a full blood sister who is 11 years and 6 days younger than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she came up here for mine and her birthday this year. So we're still in contact. I was in Sydney a couple of weeks ago and went down and visited them. So yeah, we're still in contact. So, you know, it's still finding your way home and finding they've come from, you know, the Cootamundra, you know, that stolen generation where, you know, there's lots of trauma there,
Yeah.
you know, that's still there. So, you know, asking questions sometimes isn't the best. You just got to, you know, feel out and see how the situation's going. Sometimes it's a good time, sometimes it's a bad time. So, yeah, we just roll along.
So growing up, were you connected to Aboriginal culture at all?
My parents were always, yeah, Aboriginal, you know, they gave me Aboriginal books. We lived in the Northern Territory for a while. When I was younger. So it was never something that was, I mean, obviously I was adopted by a non-Aboriginal family, so obviously I look different.
Yeah.
But it was never something that was hidden or, you know, disguised in the background. I mean, even today, my nieces were like, we never saw anything different, you know, your dad's sister that was, you know, that they didn't see colour, they just saw, oh, your dad's sister, you're my auntie kind of thing. So, and I actually probably never experienced really bad racism until I moved to Kempsey. It was really bad. I've been followed around shopping centres. My mother and I went into a cafe one day and I asked her for a drink of her drink. I think I was like 15 or 16. And she gave me a drink, and the lady behind the counter nearly fainted that this white lady was giving this young Aboriginal, like, even to this day, I can't, even though it's changed hands and everything else, I still can't walk into that shop at all. You know, I couldn't get a rental property when I tried to get a house. I went in to ask for, you know, what houses do you have for rent? No, we don't have any. So then my mum goes in and they're like, oh, we've got all of this. And yeah, they were soon told what for and what it's all about. But you know, and it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. It is getting better, but you know, it has been a struggle. And yeah.
So growing up, do you have any role models?
Well, I think my parents were very strong, and my brothers were very. One was very academic, one was very work motivated. You know, I think being around my parents, they gave me a great work ethic, which my son also has now, which is nice. And so do all my nieces and nephews as well. So we've grown up with a strong work ethic. So yeah, I would say my parents are probably my, you know, biggest heroes and biggest supporters.
Yeah.
And you know, it goes down, like I support my son all the time now too. So I think that's just how we were raised and how close we are as a family. So yeah.
Now, there's some big words being thrown around in community lately and all around Australia as well. And one of them's truth telling.
Yeah.
What does truth telling mean to you?
I've always been a truth teller. Sometimes I've hurt people's feelings by being a truth teller. I've got too bad of a memory to lie, so
Yeah.
that's and some people. I mean, I have a lot of non-Aboriginal friends that I have to have conversations with when they regurgitate things that are said online. I think social media is a great tool if used correctly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are doing that. And I have a lot of other Aboriginal friends that are regurgitating some of this wrong information, and I've had to sit down and say, that's not how it is. This is what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, but such and such. I said, they're wrong. I'm sorry. If you go and look it up, and I make them go and Google it.
Yeah.
But I can have those conversations with those people. Some people, I think, do get offended by it, but you've got to be able to tell the truth. And truth telling is very, very important. I mean, there was a long time, there was a very, very long time when there was no stolen generation. What are you talking about? We had that for many, many years. So people need to be out there telling their stories and telling them, people what happened.
Yeah. Do you think non-Indigenous people are a bit surprised when they realise how recent in history this stuff really actually is?
A lot of them are. I think and I don't think it's due, well, some of it, I don't think it's due to racism. I think it's due to, it wasn't something they were interested in. If they don't have Aboriginal people in their life, then they don't look at Aboriginal issues. Only the ones that are on the news or in the papers, that's the only thing that they know about Aboriginal people. So when you sit down and have conversations with people going, this is what's actually happening. I actually had one today with the lady that I work with. They don't know. And she actually said, I just don't know this stuff. And I want you to talk to me about it so that she can understand it. Not everybody's that understanding, of course, but you do come across people that are quite happy to sit there and have a chat and have, we can have that truth telling with these non-Aboriginal people, which is really, really nice. Yeah.
Another big buzzword that's around is cultural safety.
Yes.
But what does cultural safety mean to you, and what makes you feel culturally safe when you access services?
I want to know that I'm not being judged because of the colour of my skin, because I have grown up and been in situations where I have been judged because of the colour of my skin. As I said, walking into Woolworths and being followed around, if I come to work, I want to know that, I feel okay, that I'm in a safe environment, that I can be myself and tell the truth, but have truth telling in an office situation, because, you want to be able to do that, and people want to learn about that as well. So being culturally safe means that I'm not going to be judged by anything that I'm going to say or anything that I'm going to do, within, the parameters of a work situation. That's very different to what I do outside of work, obviously. Yeah.
So my next question is, we talk about reconciliation. What does it mean to you?
I think it is about truth telling. I think it is acknowledging what's happened in the past, and we're not going to be able to change what happened in the past. It's happened. We need to be able to, it needs to be acknowledged that this is what's happening, and this is still what some people are thinking as well. I guess racism these days is not as overt as it was back in the day. It's very, you know, I've actually lost a job because of the colour of my skin. Someone hired me and then the boss come in and went, no, she can't work here. You know, so, you know, that's not happening these days. You know, not in any way, shape or form. You know, I mean, my son has actually been, he was working and someone, an older lady came up to me and she thought she was actually being nice. And she said, it's really nice to see you people working. Yeah. But her, because of her age,
Yeah.
she's thinking it's something nice, and we have to explain to her that it's not. My son was on the phone to me straight up. I'm just like, just breathe.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I mean, and that was probably 5 years ago. Like, it's not that long ago. So, you know, reconciliation, it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a process, and it is about that truth telling, and it's about sitting and listening to people and understanding where people are coming from, because we've all got different experiences about how we've grown up as well. I have a lot of friends that their parents, like they're second generation immigrants. So, you know, they have that, people are, you know, have say things about them as well, about being an immigrant, you know. So we need to be able to sit down and have conversations without people being able to tell the truth and without people getting offended. Yeah, you can get upset if somebody says something, and that's fine because that's all part of the healing. But we've got to be able to not only talk but listen as well. I think that's important. Listen and comprehend what the person is saying and how they're feeling. That's the only way we're going to get through reconciliation, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a process. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. I always say to people, reconciliation's a journey. It's not a destination.
Yes.
You don't just, we've reconciled now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
I also believe that the first part of reconciliation for non-Indigenous people is to reconcile what Indigenous issues mean to them first. Before you can reconcile with other people, you've got to be able to reconcile, what do I know, what don't I know, why don't I know it?
Yeah.
A bit of the truth telling of yourself.
Yes, it's like, okay, these are the stereotypes that I have in my head. Where do these come from and why do I think this?
Yes.
You know, and sit down and have those conversations. You know? Yeah.
Do you think non-Indigenous people are sometimes still scared to have those conversations?
Yes. Yes, for sure. For sure. I used to do some cultural safety training with some departments down in New South Wales. And I would say to them, I want you to tell me what stereotypes you have about Aboriginal people, or what you've heard even. It's not even, it doesn't have to be your, and no one would want to say anything. They'd just be all sitting there. Because they do, and I'm like, I literally have to get them to, you know, start saying all the stereotypes that I knew or things that I've been called. But you can see how uncomfortable people are about that, because there are. I mean, these are the things that they read, or it's shown on the news, or you know, people, you know, are going to believe social media is just. I just can't in social media at the moment.
It's been interesting in a couple of cultural awareness training sessions that I've done recently, is that especially when we talk about the language and words that, you know, people are not comfortable, but we hear all the time, you know, like, and I'll say them, abo, boong, coon, those kind of words. And people go, surely they wouldn't be heard about today. Yet I've shown people on social media in the commentary section, those words live and up front in capital letters, written by mainly trolls.
Yes.
but how we're exposed to that every day on any issue that's Indigenous.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Or the one that we don't work and we're bludgeoned off the government. That's the, yeah.
Our free stuff.
I know, I'm still waiting for my house and my car. And apparently, do you know what the newest one is that I heard? That the government pays us $30 a week if we have a dog. We
Wow,
get an extra $30.
That's a new one.
Yeah, I got told that one. I was like, Jim, I'm going to get out to get me half a dozen dogs.
Yeah, I ain't heard that one before. That's a new one.
Yeah. So we get paid, the government pays us so that there's extra $30 a week.
Cool.
So yeah, so go get yourself some dogs, get extra $30 a week.
Because I often joke with groups sometimes when we talk about this a little bit, and I say, look, I'm not working on Monday, so if you guys can come up with the list of all my free stuff, and you can tell me where to get it from, that's where I'm going to be on Monday, picking it all up.
I know, I'm still waiting for my free house and my free car.
Yeah, I better go and tell the company I've leased the car through that I shouldn't be doing it. Better tell the bank manager, my bank manager, that my house is for free.
Yeah, I know. Why am I paying my mortgage? Yeah, so it's I hear some interesting ones, but that was the funniest one I heard was about the dogs. I was just like, interesting.
Well, I know in New South Wales and Victoria we hear about getting the new cars.
Mm.
My mate from Brisbane said they heard they get free boats up there.
Oh, so I could have had a free car, free house, and now I'm in Queensland. I can get a boat.
Yeah.
All right.
And $30 for your dog. Yeah, might as well get the whole lot.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. But don't worry about the things we do get for free, like the chronic conditions and dying at earlier rates. We won't worry about those ones.
Yeah. We just want the physical stuff.
Yeah, all the materialistic stuff that makes us function.
Yeah. Oh.
So if I could give you $1 zillion and a magic wand, what would you like to change?
I would like to change and get our communities healthy, number one. I'd love to say to change people's minds, but I don't think I could do that. I want people to, I like people having their own mind and their own thoughts, and I may not agree with them, and I don't have to agree with them. And they may not agree with, my things. I think healthy community, because I've worked in health for so long and I've seen what it does to communities, I really, really want to see, especially those young kids with all of this takeaway food and all of that. We want that to, not to say that I don't have a preference for some KFC. I won't say that. But we need to have, healthier programs out there. And at the moment, with the cost of living, the food is just so expensive. For you to be able to buy healthy food, people just can't afford it.
Yeah.
It's, we need to, and housing, we need more housing. That's what I'd get some more housing. I don't know where I'm going to build, but we're going to build some more houses. Yeah. I know that's in crisis at the moment as well. Yeah. But yeah, definitely health and housing are sort of my main thing.
That's a good start. That's a good start, I think.
Yeah, we'll go from there.
The pot's endless and the magic wand's got more than one thing, so we can keep going. A lot more after that.
That's right.
So I know you worked in education for a long time.
Yeah.
And you would have worked with a lot of young Aboriginal people that either just found out about their Aboriginality or want to explore it a little bit more. So when people come to you and go, I want to know more, where would you send them to start off with? Where's a good starting point?
We were very, if we were doing something about Aboriginal history, as part of the training, we used to get the elders to come up and talk to them about what it was like when they were growing up, because they don't understand any of that stuff. They're like, what do you mean you went and got turtles out the river?
Mm.
There was no, drive-through KFC or Macca's. You had to go in and dive to get some turtles or, that sort of stuff. So the elders would come in and talk to them, because they're the ones that experience this stuff. So I didn't. So I can't talk about it. I can talk about going into shops and being stereotyped. I can't talk about going and eating bush tucker because I didn't grow up like that.
Yeah.
So we'd get the elders to come in and talk about what happened when they were growing up, because that, I think, sitting down and talking to the elders is where you get all your information from.
Yeah.
They're the ones that have been there, done that. And, them elders are going to tell you straight. Ain't no mucking around with them fellas, and they will let you know.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. If people were looking at doing family searches and stuff, I always suggest Link Up. I went through Link Up myself, so I have had that experience.
Yeah.
Going through and doing the reunions through Link Up. And they were wonderful. I think they did mine. I actually signed up. The adoption laws changed in 1990, where I could get my original birth certificate. Just found out I was pregnant with my son. So I was like, I need to find out if there's any health issues. That was my main goal, was to find out health issues. Didn't find out until 13 years later, when Link Up contacted me 13 years later, because my birth mother wasn't ready at that time.
Yeah.
And I had a younger sister. So, and nobody knew that I was born. So,
yeah.
There was, lots of other things that were happening in the background. So, yeah, I was just patient. I got a phone call at work one day and they said, your birth mother's looking for you. I went, okay.
What was that like meeting with her?
It was really good. She kept apologising, and I said, you don't have to do that. I had a really good life. The people that adopted me were fantastic, and she had to do what was best for her at that time. And if she wasn't able to look after a baby, then she wasn't able to look after a baby. I don't begrudge anybody that sort of stuff. You have to make decisions. When this, when that happens. I mean, I was 19 when I had my son, and my decision was to keep him, and that's fine. Her decision was that she wasn't able to raise me at that stage in her life, and that's fine too. I think sometimes people are a little bit hard about that, but I think you've got to do what you think is best for you and for that baby. And, that's what happened. And there was no need for her to say sorry at all. It is what it is. We moved along, we lived our lives, and we came back together. So I was also lucky with the people that adopted me, that were very, very good and very loving. Here's some horrible, horrible stories out there. So I was really lucky, and they were very supportive of me going and finding my birth family. Never ever begrudged me that at any time of my life. So I was really lucky. Sometimes that can be a bit funny.
13 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time, but I suppose they really had to wait for your mum to be ready. wasn't it?
Well, they also, and they were waiting for my sister because I'm thinking about it a couple of months ago. I was 19, pregnant, and she's 11 years younger than me.
Yeah.
So she was still a baby, so they also had to think about her. Like, she was an only child for all these years, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, here's your big sister at 8, 9 years old. It's probably a big shock for her as well. So they needed to wait until she had grown up as well to be able to understand sort of what was going on as well.
Yeah.
You don't just sort of, here you go, bring in this pregnant teenager and go, here's your sister. So yeah, I think they thought about that as well, about my younger sister and how that would go as well. So because it's a massive age difference.
Yeah, there's a huge difference there.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of questions left for you because I'm just watching the time. But the question that I've got is there anything in your life that you regret or would change?
Look, I try not to live with regrets. There's probably some things that I've done that were pretty stupid.
That's most of the things that I've done.
So I try not to be regretful of things. We've all made bad decisions at one stage or another.
Yeah.
So I try not to regret anything. There's probably stuff that I've gone, why the hell did I do that for? Sometimes I have an answer for that, sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I don't think there's anything that I would regret.
Yeah. My final question, I'm just watching, is what would you like people to walk away with from our bit of a yarn this afternoon?
I think, as you discussed when we first said, the truth telling, I think, is so important, especially at the moment with everything that's been going on with the whole referendum. There's lots of misinformation that's out there. There's lots of people that will sit down, a lot of Aboriginal people that will sit down with you and have conversations. Have those conversations so you can hear what's really going on, because there's too much information, misinformation out there. And we want to make sure people are hearing the right things.
Yeah.
It's
hard to do truth telling without the truth.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you for hanging with me for the last 3 minutes or so. And I'd love you to come back on another time. We'll do a part 2 version of this.
Yes.
But guys, I want to say thank you for hanging around with me today and enjoy the podcast. I'll see you guys at the next podcast. And thanks, Faith, for coming to talk to us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.